Okay, let's take a look at Block with the ticker of SQ. This is definitely one of my top 3 stocks currently. It's a great tech stock. I've done some videos on this in the past. Let's take a look at where the price might be going. We'll start off with the Bollinger Bands. A little bit different from some of our other tech stocks. We're finding ourselves at the bottom of the Bollinger Bands channel on the 1-week chart, which tells me that we are likely going to maybe find ourselves back up to the top of the channel in the near future. So, for a short-term buyer, maybe it's a good idea to be buying here, but we do have some room to go down. If we do, that would be in the upper $50 range. Now, looking at the simple moving averages, we have our 200-week moving average, which we are well below. And this is quite bearish, in my opinion. In the orange, we have the 100-week, which is actually coming down and about to cross that 200-week. In my opinion, quite bearish. And then finally, we have the 50-week simple moving average, which is crushing the price. Kind of an ugly picture here for us. Now, what can sometimes happen in these situations, especially when you're looking at crypto? We could find ourselves with some type of short squeeze where we've come up and literally blast up to this $130 mark. But again, this is not a crypto, so we probably wouldn't see ourselves do this. Let's take a quick look, though. I'm curious to see what the 1-day chart looks like, because that will tell a little bit of a different story. As you can see, it looks a lot different. But that 1-week chart is what we typically are looking at on this channel, is more of the midterm to macro view. However, let's take a look. So same simple moving averages simply on the 1-day chart. We are still looking interestingly bearish at the moment. But similar to the 1-week chart, every single one of these moving averages are above the price, which is not a good sign. However, that short squeeze possibility is still there, where we could find ourselves blasting up into this $70 range, okay? Currently, we're at the $64 range. So if there's any type of short squeeze that could occur, it looks like it could be somewhere in this vicinity right now. Okay, so looking here at the trend lines, we put together a few scenarios here which might make a little bit more sense for the price of Block. As you see, we do have our lower portion of this bearish pennant. What I'm trying to decide here is where is the top of the bearish pennant. We have 2 different options. We have this option, which looks pretty nice in terms of the clarity of a bearish pennant. It is quite a long pennant, so we could find ourselves really ping-ponging in this pennant for a long time, right into towards the end of 2024, according to this chart. So with that said, I have a secondary option, which is this upper trend line. So we'll make that apparent. We do have a ascending floor and then a descending top resistance. All right, so when you're talking about a pennant in a downward trend, similar to what we're doing here, we have a downward move, big downward move, and then we just find ourselves kind of ping-ponging in this pennant where the support is ascending, the resistance top is descending, and again, finally, it would resolve into a downward move. So that is exactly what's happening for this bearish pennant that we are drawing here, the 2 different options. So in this short pennant move, we would resolve and find ourselves breaking through probably soon, right? Over the next month, where we move up, maybe ping pong 1 or 2 more times, and then find ourselves down hitting one of these floors. This is kind of where I think the price should be going. Again, we have this red trend line at the bottom, which is our floor, our ultimate floor. And that really kind of falls right at $40, 40 something and 40 and change. And that's very similar to maybe a secondary scenario where we find ourselves ignoring this upper resistance and continuing up in this kind of a fashion, something like this, right? Okay, where we just continue ping-ponging for months and months into late December of 2024 before we finally resolve. That's another option. And where would that fall? Not too much farther from where we talked about before, $45. So it's really in that lower 40 range to the mid to upper 40 range. So, let's say the range is like 41 to 48. you know, as for in terms of a lowest low that we could see emerging from this bearish pennant. All right, so let's take a look at some Fibonacci extensions to see where we might be going. We've got our Fibonacci extensions. Again, we are squeezed down here. If we happen to break out of this pennant, which is not very likely for a bearish pennant, we would find support immediately at $88. So in a bullish sense, that would be our target. And we can kind of draw that out very quickly. Perhaps we ping pong through like we talked about. We break out. Our first line of resistance would be around $73. Our secondary resistance point would be around $88. And that would simply be more like a almost a double, triple top here, okay, before we end up moving back down. So those are your targets there. Something like a, you know, mid 70s to mid 80s for our bullish scenarios. What I want to do is pick it up at these low ranges and then ride it into the next bull run. So that next bull run could find us, you know, hitting one of these lows and moving on up. This is a strong tech stock, and I think it's got a really good future with the Cash App and also with Lightning implementation, with stock trading within the app, with availability to Bitcoin. This is a great tech stock. Until then, buy low, sell high, and never sell at a loss.